Hi, today we're going to talk about how safety signaling helps you overcome anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. And I'm really excited about this topic. This is the key part. Safety signaling is the key aspect of my entire process. And it is why I get people phenomenal results with their healing and help them grow, help them resolve symptoms, just drop them off, leave them in the past, and move forward powerfully. And it's safety signaling, and the safety signaling interacts with the brain much differently than what we do in traditional talk therapy. And so we're getting a lot better results for healing and resolving symptoms because we're working with the brain and how the brain goes through its process, not how we want the brain to go through its process. Which the brain is like, I can't with you, right? And so we don't get our symptoms resolved. And so if we actually come into this and work with the brain and for what it needs and its design, we can actually help it resolve our symptoms for us fast. And when your brain resolves your symptoms for you, it's life changing and it's phenomenal and it's lasting. Okay. And so this is really, it's organizing. I got to say that because when we get to the place where we've got disorders, we have so much disorganization and we need somebody to clean that up. The medication will help us patch things up and get through it, but it won't clean up the actual mess. And so of the disorganization, because that's your brain's job. And if your brain isn't doing its job, who's doing that job? Nobody. And you can think your way through, you can try to problem solve, talk, vent, do all these things. If your brain is not on the job and it cannot complete its task, you will not get any of the results of having a well organized inner world that creates health and wellness for you in a sustainable way. Resolving this is foundational. I just want to nerd out right here, but there's a lot I want to tell you here. And I want to tell you what safety signals are. I want to tell you why it works with the brain. I want you to become like, oh, all about safety signaling. I want when you do that, when you get this, you also see what other people are doing, why they're doing it, your children, your husband, your spouse, why you're doing all the things you're doing. And it's all about safety signaling. So if I could get you geeked all up about this, I would. I'm trying. Okay, so hopefully you're coming along with me with this journey and really going to look at some safety signaling. So, and what safety signaling can do for you, more importantly, you, your life, your transformation, your goals, your health and wellness, you, and it's safety signaling. Okay, I'm Rachel McLeod. I'm a mental health therapist and an emotional wellness coach, and I specialize in helping people do the brain work for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. I also have a specialty in helping people resolve complex disorders like complex PTSD. So, also, the brain has a beautiful process for resolving these things. That's what I've been talking about. Okay. And that process gets stopped or blocked. And if it's stopped or blocked, you don't get your symptoms resolved. Your brain cannot help you. And not only can it help you not resolve symptoms, that same process is the same process for helping you get out of loops, stop self sabotage, stop addictions, stop um, uh, terrible patterns in your communication with your spouse, with your children, anything you want stopped. If this process isn't open, you don't get it stopped. And so, what I do is specialize in opening that process and getting all of that brain resolving these things for you, helping you resolve your symptoms, improve your communication, master things, end loops, end cycles, generational patterns. This brain process does it all. It's awesome. And there's a part of the brain that blocks this process, and we can influence it quickly with safety signaling. And so with safety signaling, that part of the brain, the survival system, receives the message, oh, we're safe. Oh, we're not in the danger I thought we were in. Oh, and so then all of a sudden it stops blocking that process and lets us do the processing work we need, which is where we're sorting, we're understanding, we're shifting our motivations, we're looking for higher solutions, more inclusive solutions. We're seeing the bigger picture, we're seeing multiple perspectives, we're allowing multiple truths to be here. When that survival mode is running and activated, we can only see a very, very narrow solution, and the goal is survival. The goal isn't I want to survive and I want my children to grow into healthy people, I want my marriage to do this. No, no, we're not doing all of that with the survival system. We're doing survive. And so we'll use fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn. It's not the good stuff. We want to talk to that part of the brain and get it to just stand down here for a moment and let's process this instead of react. Okay? And it's not, that survival system's not a talking center. It's not a reasoning center. It's not a logic center. That stuff is not located in this part of the brain. That's not part of its technology. It's sitting on top of the brainstem, reading all the data coming through your senses, your ears, your eyes, your smell, your taste, your skin, the tactile sensations, the temperatures. It's reading all that data and trying to determine if we're safe or not safe. And in that information is a ton of stuff that registers as either safety signaling, neutral, or danger, right? And so we want to shift, and with anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress, that survival system is overactive. And so it's judging everything as dangerous, 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 right? It's not working intelligently. And that part of the brain doesn't. It's not its design. And I don't want to hate on the survival system. It's why we're alive. It's how humans have evolved, how we've been safe. It's really, really powerful. So, but it really stops us when it's overactive, when there hasn't been enough safety signaling, when it's misinterpreting things, and it's actually working against our health and wellness, which is what happens with disorders. Okay, so we want to talk to it in a way it can understand. We want to talk to it in the way that this part of the brain, it gets it. It's like, oh yeah, we're safe. Let's go. Go ahead, process that. That's what we want. And so we need to know it a little bit, and we need to understand that it needs safety signaling. Now, what signals safety to this part of the brain is different than what signals safety to other parts of the brain. I don't even know if the other parts of the brain really care that much about safety signaling because it's not their job. It's the survival system's job. If they're still running, that means the survival system said, you go ahead and do that. The survival system can override everything, all parts of the brain, and shut them down and shift everything into survival mode so that all efforts, all energies are going towards survival. And that means that these other parts of the brain really won't get to do their fantastic work, which is part of this problem. Okay, so safety signaling, we need it to impress your survival system. We need the safety signal to your survival system to be like, okay, I hear you. We want it to receive it. We want it to interpret it. We want it to say, I get it. And it's listening to your body. It's listening to what's going on in your senses. It's looking for what it's looking for. And it's associated safety with different sights, different sounds, different tastes, different smells, different temperatures in the body. And this has happened a long time ago. It's already determined so many what's safe and what's not safe. Sometimes the wires are crossed here. Sometimes what your survival system thinks is safe is actually not. Sometimes what your survival system is safe, like eating, like that's a signal. We can safety signal with food because we can use the taste buds, we can use the full stomach, the full belly, we can use that stuff to signal safety to the brain, because when you were a baby, perhaps food filling your stomach, maybe that was a really safe time for you. And your brain knows that. And so it wants to recreate those safety signals. It's like, are we safe or not? I don't know. Your brain can't figure it out. Let's just go eat that thing. Oh, okay. Now I feel safe. And the survival system is receiving those safety signals. And it's shifting out of survival mode and letting processing happen. This can malfunction because then we need to eat to send those safety signals to get our brain process open and running and get us healing. Right? And then we're overusing food. We're using food for something it was not designed for. We're overcompensating for the absence of other safety signals, for a multitude, an abundance of safety signals. And we're going to see this happen in places in histories where there was not a lot of safety signaling. Maybe food was the only avenue. Maybe drugs were the only avenue. Maybe people pleasing was the only avenue. Maybe sitting in your closet in the dark was the only avenue. Maybe there were specific songs that was the only avenue. And so we will overuse those things. what we want is we want an abundance of different types of healthy safety signaling. Okay. Now I want to tell you something. I'm going to read something from the nerds, the real nerds who I adore and who also scramble my brain. But I'm gonna let you in. I found a place that can say it but not scramble it, or not say too many big words like singular, singulates, whatever, different parts of the brain. I'm not here for that. But this is what it says. Safety signaling in the context of the brain refers to the process where specific cues, either learned or naturally occurring, are associated with a reduction in fear or anxiety. These cues, known as safety signals, can be external, like a specific sound or object outside of the person, or it can be internal, like a feeling of calm, or like a specific breathing style. A long exhale is very, very much signals safety to the survival system. It's like, oh, we're doing that long exhale. We're not being chased by tigers. When we're getting chased by tigers, it's short, it's shallow. So I can tell that we're safe by this breathing. It's a signal, it's receiving. It's like, oh, I can interpret safety here. Okay, so when the brain recognizes these signals, it activates neural pathways that inhibit the fear response and promote a sense of safety and calm. Okay, I want you to understand that these neural pathways, I was doing some research with the nerds as well, they're talking about it activates circuits. These are electrical processes in the brain. So because it's electrical, I want you to understand these things are happening fast. This is lightning speed, kind of, sort of, if we're talking electrical, right? So when we get the right safety signal on, the survival system will respond, and this whole circuit activates very, very quickly. This is not a slow process. But we have to find something that your brain recognizes as a safety signal. This is not what Billy's brain believes is a safety signal. Your brain has learned its own, and we need to figure out what those are, and we need to use those because it switches the circuit from survival to processing. And in here they say it inhibits the fear response and promotes a sense of safety and calm. I think that's oversimplification. I didn't want to go that simple, but we're helping the brain shift out of survival mode into a processing state. We want it to make that switch over. And when it receives safety signals, when it realizes, oh, we're safe, it switches. Now, this is something, I want to give an example of this, and this is the one my brain delivered, so we'll work with it. When I'm seeing somebody that I know and I say, I'm signaling to them, hi, hello, welcome, I've been looking for you. I don't know, all these things that are coming through just the face, the body, the waving, it signals to their brain, oh, this, and they're going to have a response. They're probably going to smile back and be like, or they're going to be like, oh my God, there's that woman, whatever. And but I'm signaling to them, right? And they're registering it. Their brain is registering. Their brain already knows. I've sent them a whole e-card through their eyes that signaled a whole reaction, right? This is what we get to do with the mind-body system to help it resolve symptoms. You could be on the verge of a panic attack. You get some safety signals, your survival system registers, and it's like, oh, okay, you will watch your body relax and calm down. And you'll watch different other brain processes, the executive functioning team, start to do things like epiphanies, insights, seeing different perspectives. You'll start to see some objective things happen just in response to the safety signaling and the survival system responding by coming out of survival mode and allowing the mind-body connection circuits and loops and processing, right? And all of a sudden, all this sensations in your chest gets to go become executive functioned. I think that should be a word. And out pops sorting, different motivation, courage, right? All these beautiful things I'm talking about in all these videos that I'm doing. And it all happened because your brain shifted out of survival mode into processing. which I think I need to do a whole video on and nerd out with you about the magic of processing, and what all happens there, because I just feel like saying your brain starts processing is so under attractive, and it's what that one thing is so magnificent. One of my clients was just yesterday, I was like, this is amazing. Is this magic? I know it's not magic. I watched this whole process, but right. And it's just, you watch your brain do something it's never been able to do before, because in that task we were asking it to, there wasn't any safety signaling. The survival system was only interpreting fear, survival mode, danger, unsafety. Right. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, I know what to do with this. We're in danger. Let's do this thing. Right. Oh, I know what to do. Let's go in danger. Let's do this thing. And it's like, all of a sudden I know what to do. We're in danger. Wait, there's some safety signaling. Oh, well, we'll let this process. I'll sit back. I'll let this happen. And that's how brains work together. We cannot override the fact that our brain needs enough safety signaling to accomplish some big executive functioning tasks. Executive functioning tasks are the healing tasks, how brains heal. This client asked me yesterday, well, okay, well, what are we going to do about this problem? I'm like, we're doing it. We're safety signaling. We're just safety signaling. And there's tricks to help the brain pay attention to stuff we want processed. Yes. And lots of people are overlooking those things. So I teach how to pay attention to what matters to your brain. I teach those strategies. But I'm doing this with her, and she's like, well, but how is this going to work? How are we going to solve this problem I have? We're doing it. We're safety signaling, because the brain, once it has enough safety signaling and it can get this problem processed, and it can understand the process and read all the data and the reports that your body has collected about this problem, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I know how to resolve this. And that's what happened at the end of the session. She was like, oh, I get it. I know exactly what I need to do. Right. But we because we don't understand the importance of safety signaling, we overlook it, and we want to follow the processes we're comfortable with. And a lot of those processes don't include safety signaling. So they don't include the actual brain support needed to actually get to beautiful solutions. That's why we stay in loops. That's why we break up with people and then we just find the same person with a different haircut, because we actually didn't process it. Because whatever happened, whatever was in the dynamics of the relationship was painful. Your survival system said, oh, we're fight, fleet, afraid, and fawning that one. We're not processing it. And so the top of the brain is like, I needed all that data. And then your subconscious mind is like, I'll get that data for you and let's do it again. And now we're processing, we're having the same interaction with somebody with a different haircut again. But really, if we would have just processed the data, instead of fight, flight, freeze, faint, and fawning from it, we got to get away from this person. We got to stop feeling this way. We got to run from this. Let's just faint. Let's just be in depression. We'll just fall on the couch and not get up, right? These are not choices. These are things your survival system chooses for you. So I'm not at all attacking you. This is not your fault. But instead of there, now we can help it actually, yeah, that stuff sucks, and we're safe. It's safe. And your survival system's like, okay, we're safe. Well, we'll let them work on that relationship. And now that old relationship is processing. Those interactions are processing. And maybe it's still your current relationship, but it was like decades ago, and you're still acting like, you're still feeling the ramifications and the consequences of that. But all of a sudden your brain is processing, and then you're just starting to see different things. You're starting to observe different patterns. You've outgrown things that you needed to outgrow, and you're healing and releasing things, and you're more objective, you're more wise, your judgment, you're more discerning, and you're just overall going to function at a higher level. And you'll watch, when I'm working with people and they're in their partners, people start outgrowing old habits and patterns with their partners quickly. And it's actually quite alarming to the partner, and the partner's like, whoa, what are you doing? Why are you outgrowing this? And where are you going? And that person's like, I'm going to Healthy Island, wherever the heck that is for them. That represents their goals and dreams. Maybe you'll be there, maybe you won't. And all of a sudden we'll watch that the other partner will start safety signaling. They're like, what's that tapping thing you're doing that I ridiculed you for last week? What's that? And pretty soon they'll start using some interventions as well, getting that safety signaling on, and you'll watch these two grow together and grow out of these old patterns. It's all contingent upon safety signals, not because safety signals are cool, but because of how brains work. Your brain cannot do its work without enough safety signals. It's not designed like that. Its top priority is keeping you alive. And if you've got, let's say, relationship challenges that are creating, that are, your survival system's like, we're in danger, we're in danger, we're in danger. The chances of you actually processing what's going on are very slim to none, because your system, your neurology, your chemicals, your mind is going to be focused on surviving those experiences, surviving those interactions, not processing them, not learning from them, not growing past them, not maturation, not outgrowing them. It's that process isn't available. It's not running. And so simply what we're going to do is safety signaling. So Rachel, we're going to take complex problems that have taken decades to get through, and we're going to send some safety signals, and it's going to resolve. Yeah. Over and over again. I'm sorry, the solution is so simple. I know it's boring. It's not really that boring. It's really fun, especially because you're like, oh my gosh, look at all this transformation. But yeah, that it's really that simple. And guess what? If you've got a complex disorder, there's a lot of organization that has to happen, and there's a lot of unresolved pain backed up in your system. So we got to help your brain create order, and we do it by getting all this stuff processed. And the truth is if we can get a little processed, your brain will go through an organizational phase. And then we get a little bit more, and it'll go through a new organizational phase. If we get a little bit more processed, which is dependent upon safety signaling, so we're going to work on this little bit of issue, and we're going to safety signal the whole time how your survival system likes it, not how your mind likes it. That is not who we're trying to please here. We're trying to please your survival system. And what's going to happen is all this information, this data is now going to arrive to the top. That's going to be very pleasant and pleasing to your conscious mind. They just need to wait a moment. They want to go up here and cook and think and think and think and think, but all this data from the body isn't even getting up there. So they're just rehashing the same issues. That's one of the reasons why you feel crazy and why you're looping and why you want to give up and not try anymore, because every time you try, you fail. And that's because your brain isn't working according to its design. And a lot of times this thinking stuff is trying to happen in the beginning when it actually needs to happen to the end. And the first thing that needs to happen is all this data needs to get past the survival system. And the survival system is blocking it out. But now we're going to send safety signals, and that same data is now going to finally make it to the top. That same data that happened 30 years ago is going to make it to the top. That same data that you've been thinking about every single night is finally going to make it to the top, and is going to stop causing the symptoms and start causing health and wellness. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. Okay, I want to talk about safety signals because you're doing this already. Some of these behaviors that you don't like, that you don't want to do, your nervous system is, your survival system registers them as safe. And so it's making you do them over and over again because your system needs safety signaling. Without safety signaling, we will die. So your system knows how desperately you need them, and it will override all your goals. It will override all your willpower to get you safety signaling. And so I say, stop fighting this process entirely. And in my healing work, the survival system is VIP. If the survival system's not happy, we're not happy. If the survival system's not happy yet, we're not moving forward. We are keeping pace with the survival system because it is the one that will shut this whole process down. So I'm here as the servant to the survival system. What do you need? What safety signal? Okay. So we want to make sure your safety signal is something that you can repeat over and 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 over again. So providing your survival system the support it needs when it needs it. And if you've got a disorder, you're going to need a lot of this. Okay. And we need something that we can do a lot of and that has no known side effects and doesn't add in the side effects of harming the body, harming your relationships, harming society. All coping strategies do. We need to find the right fit for you. And that is why, that's why I really offer my 3 to everybody. My 3 favorite ones for this work because of those reasons. You can do them a lot. There's no known side effects and there's no harm to the body to the relationships. There's no harm to society that if you use them. And so, like eating can harm the body. Using drugs can harm the body. Using alcohol to regulate can harm the body, right? Going on runs for 5 hours a day can be very deeply regulating. It can be a huge safety signal, and it can harm the body, and it can also harm their relationships. Your kids are like, "Where are you?" Your husband's like, "All you do is run." People are feeling abandoned. Okay, and I'm not taking away these safety signals. I want you to use all your safety signals. I just want you to use them wisely and understand some of them will have side effects that you don't want. Even the ones I share have side effects. Like if you use mine in a board meeting, you're probably going to be asked to leave because that's weird. If you use mine in the wrong places, you're going to be weird. It's going to have some side effects. So you want to play around with different safety signals to make sure that you can give yourself what you need where you are, and which ones work best for you. You want to play with these. You want to strategize around these. You want to be very intelligent and abundant in your use of them, especially when you're at the point where you have a disorder. And I want to say this again. These interventions are not designed to support your thinking center directly. They will give your thinking center tons of indirect benefit because we're actually helping the brain do what it was designed to do. That's going to tremendously benefit your conscious mind. But your conscious mind might not like this, especially when it's used to getting all this direct support and attention. And it can tell you all the things and you paid attention. Now you're actually over here supporting a different part of the brain. It's like, where'd you go? Where's my audience? I don't like this. Is this even working? You're just wasting our time, right? This is not who we're pleasing. They will be pleased, but we're focusing on the survival system. And so these are for that part of the brain, that part of the process. Because I don't want you stuck in problems that without safety signaling could last a lifetime. That's how this works. That's why people go to their deathbed with symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress that have lasted their entire life. No, absolutely not. Safety signaling. Okay, so I have a free program called Interventions for Inner World Transformation. In there, I share for free my 3 favorite interventions for this. I encourage you to go into the descriptions part of this video and look at them and enroll in that program and watch those videos. You can learn them very quickly and you can try them out. You will get pretty much instant feedback if these support your survival system part of the brain to shift out of survival mode and allow processing to happen. I teach in there, I have in there a video that shows you what you're looking for. And if any of those things are occurring, this process is working because this doesn't really happen. This doesn't happen when the brain is in survival mode. Okay, so I encourage you to start there. If you have a disorder of anxiety, depression, traumatic stress, or you've got stressors that are really complex that aren't resolving, and you, after hearing this, are like, I wonder if my brain would resolve that for me if I gave it the support it needs, then I have a program called Inner World Transformation, and that program is also is an 8-week process. You can find it in the description here, and it will help you systematically resolve these disorders. You'll get a safety signaling intervention, and then if you're like most people, you're like, okay, what can I do with this? Or maybe you're like other people, and you're like, what else can I do with this? That's how I was. I was like, oh my gosh, what else can I do with this? Well, there's a lot you can do with this, and it's nice to have a guiding direction to be able to know what to do now first, then what to do next. And that's really what this process does. And it walks people through the process of supporting their brain to unravel and resolve their disorder. And also complex life challenges. So we need your brain resolving that. That's its job. If it's not doing that, it's because this process isn't open and running. Resolving symptoms and stressors and challenges and emotional blocks brains are wonderful at this. The only reason they're not doing it is because this process is blocked. And it responds by safety signaling. That's why we're rocking babies. Shh. We're actually helping their mind-body system grow and process what's going on. We're actually talking to their survival system. That's why we're doing that. We're not doing that because we're weird and crazy. We intuitively know this. It's just when we get older, we think, oh, you should be done with that. That survival system part of the brain never grows up. It doesn't ever change. It still is looking for safety signaling. And if you had a lifetime, if you had an early childhood full of safety signaling, this is so much easier for your brain. Your brain doesn't need a ton of safety signaling anymore. If you have a childhood of not very many safety signalings, many interactions were actually unsafe, then your brain has a deficit, a deficiency of safety signaling. We're going to make up for that now, and we're going to watch us remineralize and your safety signaling. We're going to pour in a bunch of safety signaling into your mind body system. Your survival system is going to soak it up, and healing is going to go ahead and take some place here. And you're going to watch it. It's going to be more awesome than you can imagine. I literally think I should just have a show where we just goggle at what the brain is doing. I really do. It's absolutely phenomenal. I think I will. So stay tuned. So, because I just feel like it's so difficult to communicate all the amazing things. And as a therapist, I can't bring out all my clients on here, right? HIPAA. But I just feel like somebody should be able to explain how awesome this is. So I will keep trying. And what's even better is if you go ahead and try these interventions and see for yourself. Then you don't need these words and external safety signalings, which go ahead and use them. Use external safety signalings. But you can get that. You can watch this happen for yourself. You can watch it happening. One of my clients just told me today that they're starting to see things that they didn't see before, which is changing the way that they're interacting with their clients. It's changing the way that they're showing up. It's changing the way they're talking to themselves. It's changing everything. And they're not trying to change. They're just trying to put in safety signaling. I know. It's mind-boggling. It's counterintuitive. It defies logic and reasoning, but it doesn't defy how the mind-body system works. It's actually on point exactly with how the mind-body system works. And this does not mean stop your medication. This doesn't mean stop your supports. This means add in safety signaling. You're going to watch so much transformation that it's going to eventually make you wonder, do I really need this kind of medication support anymore? Do I need this support over here? What kind of support do I need now? It starts facilitating all that because you actually don't have the symptoms anymore. Your brain resolved those. And your brain is learning how to sustain and maintain and create your mental health on its own independently more and more and more as it was designed. And it's not going to be perfectly independent, but it's going to be highly independent, which then positions it to be ready for interdependence and higher function and less supports in some areas, more supports in the other. It's pretty wonderful. So having said that, I encourage you, dive into safety signaling. Try my 3 favorite interventions for this. They are safety signaling at the max. I have a lot of interventions, and there are so many interventions out there. And it could be mind-boggling. I've wanted to narrow it down to the top 3 from my experience. These are ones I've used to resolve whole disorders. There's one that I have not used, but I've seen it. I've used it enough with people that I'm like, ooh, this is yummy. This is deeply supportive. So I've thrown that one in there as well. And but I trust these interventions, and I trust the safety signaling. They're a match for people because we're using the body's own communication systems to send safety signaling. And so we're using safe touch, different tapping points. We're using breathing strategies and tapping. We're talking to the body in its own language. And that is creating, it's positioning, it's putting the mind body system into a place where healing and processing happens. So I encourage you to try this out and let me know what you think. Take care.